right, you guys, we are live in effect. When you hear that intro, you guys know what time it is. It is Thursday. It's time to bring the energy. It means that the locker room is officially open, and we've got a great show planned for you guys tonight. Sorry for the delay. Coach is coaching people up. He's looking in the transfer portal. He's doing different things, and now we got him officially with us. So if you're joining us for the first time, I am the host, Coach Terrence Wood, and I got my co-host, my brother that always holds me down on the other side of the defense, the other side of the locker room, and that's none other than Q, the Guru. What's going on, Guru?
What's going on, Coach, man? We got another one as usual, another Thursday, and we about to get right at it. We got to get right into it.
We definitely are about to get right at it, and I already see people in the chat, so thank you for joining us. Before you go pro, you guys, is where we bring in people from the industry. I don't know where else you guys get your football education, your football edutainment, but the locker room brings it every single week, and we bring in people that just don't talk about football. They're living it. They're going through the industry. They're working with people, and we've got a great guest for tonight's show. That is none other than Pace University head coach. We got a big-time NCAA head coach, you guys, and that is my dear friend, Coach Andy Rondeau. How's it going, Coach?
Good, Coach. Thanks so much for having me tonight. What a great opportunity. And when you say that, dear friend, we've been chit-chatting and working on prospects for the better part of a decade now, you know. It's pretty cool.
No, we're getting old, Coach. Don't say that, Coach. I'm trying to stay young.
You're only as young as you allow yourself to be in the way you act and think.
These are facts. These are facts.
I love it. I love it. And Coach is right. You know, before you go pro, actually, is a practitioner. We help young men get to the next level, and Coach has been there for us. We were talking about positions and players earlier today. So you guys are in for a treat. And once again, this is a magnificent gentleman. He does the right things by people, you guys, on and off the field. That's why his program is doing well. He actually turned the program around, and we're going to get into that. But Pace University, if you haven't heard about it, they're playing big-time football out on the East Coast. Northeast Conference, the Northeast 10 Conference, and we've got some great things to talk about, you guys, tonight. So let's get into it. And for those that are joining us for the first time, all the topics for tonight's show are on the bottom ticker. So we let you know what's coming, and we hit it hard and fast. And first and foremost, what we just talked about, Coach, the turnaround at Pace University. I know that I've been on many of football teams and in many locker rooms, Coach, and I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy to turn around a school that's had some rough years. So talk to us about the turnaround. What do you think are the key factors that allowed you to start having a winning program at Pace?
I love that question because it made me be introspective and think about it and try to be clear about it. So I appreciate that question. And I think you and I even talked about this first part before. I think the first part is knowing thyself, right? So I've been a long time assistant coach, and you know, I work for a lot of good coaches, and you take something from everybody you work with, but you still got to do you. And I think for me to figure out how to do me and then how to do the job of being a head football coach, which is different than a position coach, and it's different than a coordinator, and it's different from different things. So I think figuring out me as a head coach was as big a part of it as anything. And I think the next part ended up being adaptability, right? Every institution, every organization, every team has got a structure, and they've got strengths and weaknesses. And you've got to work within that. You've got to be fluid. You've got to find the way to be successful. Pace, you know, we don't have a phys ed program, so we might have a great prospect, but if we can't serve his needs, you know, we're not doing any good. If I keep bringing people to admissions that are in a different way below the standards they're looking for, well, those things aren't going to be very good. So I think you've got to find the adaptability, whether it be scheme or admissions or, you know, hiring coaching staff. You've got to be adaptable to figure out, hey, what's our way to be successful? Because there's a way at every place. There's a way at most every place. And then I think after that, I think maybe that's hand in hand. We just had to find the guys that were a fit. And that fit word right there is it's a bit of a buzzword, but I think it's real. I think it's real, you know. And you say, hey, who wants to be at pace? Who wants to be there? Who sees himself as a great student athlete at pace? And when we can find guys that fit that way and really walk the walk and talk the talk, that's been a way for us to get guys there, you know, and get guys stay there. We say this all the time. Let's recruit. You know, we opened up and talked about the transfer portal. This is a reality for all of us. This is the new normal. That being said, you know, can we recruit, retain, and develop guys so that they end up, we can see, hey, their potential is this, you know, and get them to a spot where they can be their best young men they can be.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a great point right there. And I know it's not easy, Coach, but you've been able to do it. I see some people coming in through the chat. I see the great Coach Falls coming from down south. He says, here we go. And I know he was looking forward to this show. We've got the Munoz family, as always, out of San Antonio. They've got a young up-and-comer coach that we'll have you keeping an eye on. And then, of course, our Denver people. We've got Cindy Hernandez, Mama Cindy saying, go Nuggets. We've got the Colorado crew. They're pumped up off some Jokic, some Joker, and some Murray over there. So we see you guys, and thank you for joining us. We are on, you guys, to our next topic, and this is a huge one because we've got a coach that now has a player that's in the NFL. Division II coach, but you know, there's the cliche, if you can play, they'll find you. And they have found Jackie Chan out of Pace University. He is currently with the Vikings, and it looks like he's got some big time talent. And I wanted to ask you, Coach, because obviously it's not all the time that we see Division II kids get their shot. I mean, I played at the University of Colorado. I don't think they had any O-linemen go this year in the draft. They will in the future with Dion. But let me ask you, obviously a D2 kid that has this potential stands out at some point in time. When did you and your staff realize that Jackie had that type of potential?
I would love this to be this is such a cool story. I wish we had all the time in the world. Jackie's a really, really cool story. But to be direct to your question, we didn't know that he was going to be in this category until his senior year. And I think you have to know a little bit too. Jackie came to us at 240 pounds.
Oh, wow.
He latched onto the weight room like it was family. And he and the best as a strength coach he latched onto it now. And even in his junior years, he'll tell you he went through it, right? Because his junior year, he thought, boy, I've got it all put together. Here we go. And hurdles of COVID and having time off. And if you just think about it, he came to us at 240 pounds and he played a little bit as a true freshman and he didn't know if the ball was pumped or stuffed. And then we got into a second year where he was a rotational player. Well, he really thought he'd blossom. And then we got into COVID and we didn't play in COVID. So he had that long layoff into his junior year. And that was his real first time to be the guy and a starter.
Right.
And cool story because Jackie is a story of the process, right? Everybody talks the process. Jackie lived it. We were in our opening game and some scouts had come to see the defensive end that we were playing against for that team. And the scouts reached out to us afterwards and said, we don't know about that prospect, but we'd like to find out about Jackie. He had no traffic before that. So it started to bubble up and there was a point in time, Jackie and I were in the weight room together. And, you know, I started to feel him out. I said, what are you going to do after this? He goes, I don't know, Coach. I just want to make the most of this year. And he wasn't trying to get ahead of himself. He was just trying to do him the best he could. So it was very cool. Late bloomer, you know, recruit, retain, develop, right? The guy that you say, hey, this guy has the athleticism and let's see if he can grow into being a tackle in our level. And he did. And it's a really cool story.
Nice.
That's amazing. So there's the opportunity, you guys. Sometimes we think we got to go to these big schools, and Coach Rondeau's right here saying that you could be a late bloomer and end up in Jackie's situation. So that is a fabulous story right there. Definitely. We are on to our next topic, and I'm really, really excited to ask you from the recruiting side of this, Coach. But we'll start off with you, Q, because you are the guru. A lot of running backs, man.
Yeah.
A lot of running backs are saying that they deserve some dollars. They're not getting them, and they're just wondering what's up with the running back market. And there's a lot of running back by committee right now, and running backs are feeling like their dollars might get a little short. So I want to ask you, Q, I mean, is the bell cow, the Emmitt Smith, the Barry Sanders, are those days over? Or are we going to see committee? Or what's your thoughts? Does the bell cow still survive?
That's kind of hard to say. I mean, the game has changed so much, and like you said, coming from the era that we're used to seeing a Mon Green in the bus, and all these notable backs, a lot Hall of Famers that we grew up watching, or even played against it, ended up developing to that. The game is so pass heavy. It's almost now offensively, like for most teams, we're only running the ball to keep you honest. So do we really need a first round back? Do we really need a 1,500-yard horse behind our QB, or 2,000-yard horse? I mean, I'm not going to say that it's, that particular, stud running back is finished. But if you can get along, on that level and spending less money going running back by committee with a couple of third or fourth round guys that are solid and don't fumble, well, why not? Why do we have to go get another Emmitt Smith, another type of guy like that, that's a first rounder that we have to pay all this money to? It's not needed. I mean, you're talking about at running back to what, Coach, the average, 3 years, 4 maybe,
Especially I think it's 2.8. I think it's 2.8.
Yeah. You talking about, you got guys, I mean, especially if they getting, a heavy low like Saquon Barkley, getting 25, 30 carries a game. Yeah, you're gonna be about 3 years. That's it. Look what happened to Ezekiel Elliott, man. He's not that guy that he used to be. He's not. So that's just it comes with the position, unfortunately.
Talk to me, Coach, because you're living this reality from a recruiting standpoint. And I know at the Division II level, you got to decide how much money you give a kid. Is it, you guys are going maybe fast with the offense, so it's not as much 30 carries to a back. Do you feel like at your level, you guys still look for the bell cow, or is it pretty open?
We're looking. He's really hard to find, and in our time here, we have one kid who is the all-time leading rusher and scorer, a young man named Jalen Bieniemy. But even for Jalen, he had the support of 2 other guys, but he was the guy,
right?
And he was different. He could separate himself in the conference and amongst his peers. So, he was that. We are a run-based offense, and we feel like we're going to go into every game with a pair and a spare and then one ready to go. And, I think it's really hard, whether it be the wear and tear, whether it be the steady grind. It is a tough job to be the guy. And, and
for a whole season.
Somebody makes up their mind that they're going to jam the box and make you go another way. Well, his job just got harder. And, the young kids come in and they need the armor and they work hard, but it's like anything that we're not quite ready for, whether we're not ready for having kids or not ready for marriage. And when you get there, you say, oh, it's like that. And It's the same thing for being a college football player and a running back. And that guy who thinks he's a bounce the ball guy, and all of a sudden he bounces it and everybody soaks him up. So So I think it's really hard to have the bell cow. It's really, really hard to have.
It is.
I'd like to find them,
Yeah.
I'll give him the rock 30 times. Let's go. But
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
it
Everybody's
is
looking
though.
for Adrian Peterson, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe
Good
maybe
luck.
those days, are
Good
done,
luck.
and we see the great Rick De Jesus saying a running back that can catch out of the backfield is useful, and those are rare too. So yeah,
Yeah.
you guys, it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how times continue for just as we go through the trends. Different positions get hot, different positions are not. The fullback is gone, so you guys
Right. You got
you
a
guys got
wide
to keep.
now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So
See? Yeah.
we are on to our next topic, you guys, and this one's another good one, especially to have Coach for and the Guru for is managing relationships. Managing relationships in the football industry. You guys are going to have to definitely learn how to do this if you want to go far. And the Eagles star cornerback Darius Slay, not so happy over the hiring of his old head coach, Matt Patricia, from when he was in Detroit. And he had some choice words for Matt Patricia before he left Detroit. Now they're working together again, too. So I'll start off with you, Coach Rondeau. Talk to the young audience about maybe not burning relationships or how to manage relationships in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Your example's a really cool one. And I don't know those guys, so I hesitate to talk too much about it. But those two guys are the adults. They're grown. And you got to work with people. If we got coaches on our staff that can't work together, we can't be that good. So I'm going to step away from that professional one. But at our level, it's our job as coaches to meet them where they're at. And there's standards, don't get me wrong, it's not free reign, but it's our job to end up saying, okay, let's find perspective. Okay, let's see it from where he's coming from. We've had a lot of experiences, grown coaches and adults, and it's our job to meet them where they're at, to teach them the standard in the way in which they can learn it and hear it. So, both those two guys, they're adults, and they won't get as far as they would if they could find the common ground, and they need to figure it out. And hopefully that's something that got blown up a little bit in the media. But at the same time, we're the ones that have to set the tempo for the conversations and we've got to teach the standard for communication. We've got to teach the standard for that and find ways to connect with different young men at different parts of their life. That's our job.
Yeah.
Fabulous response right there. Let me talk to you, Q. Let's look at it from the other side. Let's look at it from the teammate side, man.
Right.
Have you had any teammates throughout college, your professional career, where you didn't totally vibe with them, but you had to kind of get along so you can win games?
It's been a small handful of teammates. For the most part, me personally, I've pretty much always got along with my teammates. But as for coaches, I think it's one thing that players, whether it's collegiate all the way up to the league, that you need to understand. It's always coaching changes. So it's one of those things where you, especially on a professional level, you could get traded at any time. You can get traded. You never know where that coach that you got into it, or that coach that you have a great relationship, that, hey, guess what? The end of my contract is coming up, and guess who's going to dial you up to bring you in? It's going to be that same coach. So you got to establish relationships, where you got to learn to get along, but relationships will go a long way. It's like that in corporate America, and it's the same way in this game, and that'll never change. Never change.
32 teams. A lot of you guys want to make it to the NFL. It's 32 job, hot people hiring employers. So you're gonna run across some of the same people. You can
I
trust
promise
that.
you will.
Definitely. So we are on to our next topic, you guys, and this is a good one. We're always trying to give you guys food for thought that pertain to what you're going through, and this is camp season. This is camp season right now. 2024s, 25, 26s. You guys are getting after it. There's mega camps. There's all the satellite camps. They got names for all these camps. But this is when you guys are trying to find a way to get to the bag. And I'm so glad we got you tonight, Coach, because obviously you guys are dealing with this too. Is the investment, because some of these parents are investing a lot, especially when you talk travel and everything, is the investment for these camps, and these parents are thinking maybe their baby's got a shot. Do you still feel honestly like it's a good investment?
Okay, this is a long answer right there. Okay,
There's some parameters to it.
there's all
Right.
kinds right there because there's so
Man.
many different guys right there, right? If you are in that world and you're in that world where you are amongst the elite and you are a Power 5 guy, yeah, this is the time that you have to get and see those places because so many of those decisions are getting made unless you're the top of the top of the top of the heap in the Power 5. You really have to know your direction before you hit the season.
Yeah.
But even the younger guys too, or excuse me, the less than that, my crowd, right? My crowd, what I always say is, hey, okay, I saw a quarterback last night at a camp that I've seen him at every dang camp that I've been to. And I'm like, are you throwing as well as you were when I saw you 2 weeks ago? And he sat there and he dropped his head, no. And if you can't put your best foot forward when you're going to these places, is that really what you want?
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
These camps are more about making your list shorter than making them longer, right? And can you, hey, this guy, he didn't do it at our place, and let's see if we can pare down our list and get into it. What I always say is, hey, can you find, like my son, and a different level of athlete than the top tier, okay? He was choosing between a Division II school and a Division III school. And we could look at it during this time. I said, I'd like you to pick 5 or 6 camps. I'd like you to go to a big giant camp so that you can see the pool of people out there and how deep the pool is.
Right.
I'd like you to go and see a camp that's far away so you could figure out if you're going to be okay with far away. I'd like you to go to a Division I camp where you could compete against a higher caliber of kid. I'd like you to go to a Division III camp where you could end up competing against that caliber of kid. And so the goal was 5, and he ended up doing 7, and he was tired. And, so I really think that you've got to be surgical in your camp approach, and you've got to really figure out what it is. And you got to do your best to keep your head out of the stars and look at this as a business deal, because football is really goofy like that, because we've got that business side. And just like Coach talked about, it's relationships. And so we cross all those lines, and you got to be careful that you're not getting your hopes tangled up with what it is real. Got no problem. I had this young man up here who said, I'm going to go to Alabama camp. And if you want to go to Alabama camp to have an experience, that's great. But there's just probably 1 or 2 guys up here in the Northeast that Alabama is going to give any serious consideration to. It is a numbers game, But the other side to all that is these families that go into it for the first time. How do they know? Because we're all coming at them. Come to our camp. Come to our camp. You can't get an offer unless you come to our camp. Come to our campus. Come to our camp. What do you do? And I just hope that they find somebody who will tell them the truth and say, hey, let's approach this in an even keel business manner. And let's figure out, right, the 2 commodities that you talked about. One of them, one is time and one is money, and both of them are limited. And so we've got to figure out what can we do within that to end up having an experience that we can grow from. Maybe that growth is with offers. Maybe that growth ends up being a better player. Maybe that ends up being, I know what area of the country I should go to school. So many of those kids think that it's going to be a magic wand, and I'm going to come out of June and I'm going to have all the offers I want. And I really think that's just the rare. There's so much meat left on the bone. There's so much more coming down the pike. Stay at it. That's just another example of the way football is a microcosm of life. Probably not going to be sunshine and roses at the end of June for 8 or 9 out of 10 guys. It's going to be a grind on. I don't know, Q. Did you have what you wanted by the time you got the end of June?
I did.
I
actually did. I think. Hey, Coach. I'm not gonna lie. I was in practice one day. I remember like it was yesterday when I saw Coach Stoops show up. I'm like, okay.
Let's
All right,
go.
we got
okay. I'm all right. But let me ask you, Q, because I want to throw it to you too, man. You're in Houston. There's a lot of talent in Houston,
Yeah,
and sometimes some good players get overlooked, man. Let's put the dad hat on you. You got a young son, and he's going into his senior year. Last year, maybe second team all conference, about 900 yards, 1,000 yards. He's a running back. And you feel like he's got something. But you also know that the season's coming and there's going to be a lot on him during the season. How does the guru play your son's summer?
First of all, like I always say, usually in our show all the time, let's stay injury free. First of all, let's not do anything stupid and let's stay injury free. Let's make sure we going in healthy. First of all, going in 100%. But like Coach said, man, you really got to be surgical about it because some of these camps are all about pumping their own publicity as a camp, you know. And I Coach, you made a great point. And you're the first coach that I've actually heard say this. It's really about trimming the fat. That's what these a lot. And when you said that, I was like, oh, damn, that's the truth. It's really about lessening the numbers. And no, I don't understand why no one really thinks of it that way. I guess I'm a bit old school. To me, you can do any camp you want. What happened to game film, Coach?
It's still there, man.
What happened to good old this? Who is this kid on Huddle? You know, what happened to game film?
That's still believe it's there.
Coach, don't you guys still go? Don't you? If you see a kid at camp, Coach, that wasn't on your radar, aren't you going to go back to that film anyway?
I'm going to tell you, and part of this is the luxury you have at our level and in some levels. I can wait. In 9 out of 10 cases, I can wait to see the high school video as a senior. Why I got to make a decision on a kid who hasn't played his best football yet? For his benefit, for our benefit, you know, and
that's a good point.
You know, Q, you're right. You're in that rare air, and there's guys who are special, who are touched by the hand of God, and then have the guidance and structure to get him where he needs to go and do the work accordingly. And that's great, man. But that ain't most of us, you know. That ain't most of us. All them kids in that picture right there, that's 1 or 2 of them, you know.
That's a lot of kids, man. God, dog, that's a lot of kids. If you're a parent, hold on 1 second. Go back to that picture one more time. Look at that. If you're a parent, just look at that picture real quick.
You don't even know where your baby at.
Like seriously. And that's probably a smaller camp. This is how real it is. And this is how, as Coach said, how surgical you have to be with planning. If you know your kid wants to go to the next level, D1, 2, 3, wherever this to be a student athlete on the next level, how surgical you have to be. When he said numbers, I want you to keep in your mind that picture. Keep that in your mind. That's unreal.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So it's definitely something that parents, you guys got to get some help, you know, and because your baby's going to want to go to all of them. Yeah. And even if you do have the disposable income, you know, if they're beat by the time they get to the fall, then you've done yourself a disservice. So you guys definitely, that was an important one. We are on to our next topic, and we're so glad that we got the great Coach Andy Rondeau with us. We are to the lightning round, you guys. The lightning round is our version of word association. It's our opportunity to put our guests through a little bit of a gauntlet, a 60-second gauntlet where we're asking him questions. We're asking him either or. We're getting to find out. I don't know if Coach Rondeau's team is going to check this out, but we're getting to find out what's on your coach's mind, unfiltered, live tonight in the locker room. So we are definitely excited about this. I've got a good list, I think, to put Coach through, and we're going to see what is on his.
You gave me all the questions ahead of time, and now we got the pop quiz. I am nervous.
We had to loosen you up, Coach. We had to looson you up. So now
I'm just popping out of the park right there. you was making me feel good about my answers, and now the tough stuff comes.
Now it's on. Now it's on.
Ready to go. Let's go.
Now I'm gonna add a little pressure. I know you had a great quarterback last year, so I know that you've coached somebody through pressure, but we're gonna put you through some pressure, Coach.
Okay.
There's a little award for this as well. So if you can get to the number 15 or higher, then you got a little dinner and a hotel stay on the locker room show, okay? On the locker room show. So wife might be listening, tuning in now. And I know you're close to New York. It's not going to be, we might have to bring you to Jersey or somewhere further out where, my dollars can fly. Okay. All right, Coach. So now let me get my stopwatch ready. Once again, Coach has 60 seconds to do his thing and let us know what's on his mind. Yeah, it gets dangerous in here, Coach. It gets competitive. So I got you at zeros.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not cheating you. And once again, first thing that comes to your mind. All right, Coach. Number 1, Syracuse University. Go.
Donovan McNabb.
Bill Parcells or Bill Belichick?
Belichick.
Carlton Aiken.
Program changer.
Philly cheesesteak or barbecue chicken sandwich?
Barbecue chicken sandwich, hands down. Can't be wrong.
Favorite boxer of all time?
Sugar Ray Leonard.
The Northeast 10 Conference.
Pace University makes a step from good to great.
Aaron Rodgers.
Again?
Walnuts or peanuts?
Walnuts. Easy.
Jalen Hurts.
What a story.
Hold a snake or hold a tarantula?
Tarantula.
57 seconds. Favorite movie snack?
Popcorn.
Time.
He might have got that.
Rolling. Coach
He
was
might have
rolling
got
on
that.
that
Yeah,
one. I saw you, Coach. I see you.
That's
The
close,
right answers
boy.
in this right here.
Okay. We're
That's
good.
going to be close.
Okay, that's gonna be close. Now we gotta add them up, and then
Hey,
of course we're gonna revisit.
Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm like, hell, give it to him.
He's ready. He's ready tonight. So I see you, Coach. So we're gonna add them up, and then here's a caveat, Coach. You one tech delay. We always have one for tech delay. So your number is 15, but even 14 puts you in a good spot. So let's add these up, and then we're gonna revisit. So we got the Syracuse McNabb, we got 1. We got the Bill Belichick 2. We got the Carlton Aiken 3. We got the barbecue chicken sandwich 4. We got favorite boxer 5. We got Northeast 10 6. We got Aaron Rodgers 7. We're going with the walnut peanut on the walnuts over the peanuts on 8. We got Jalen Hurts 9. Tarantula 10, and favorite movie snack 11 with the one extra, the 12 for the tech delay. So Coach got 12. He did a great job right there, and he was rolling. He was doing good. 15 is a lot, So let's revisit a couple of these, Coach. He said the McNabb, and that's your alma mater, right, Syracuse?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So he thinks the McNabb was.
I think I froze right there. I think right out the gate, I think if this is a 40-yard dash, don't think I came out the gates great. The answer was great, but it just wasn't quick enough.
There you go. So that's a good analysis. Just like a coach. He's going with the Belichick, the new school over the old school Parcells. Carlton Aiken, for those that don't know, that's his quarterback in program changer. He's going with the barbecue chicken. I think he's not too far from Philly. I thought he was going to go cheesesteak. He said barbecue chicken on there. He's going with the Sugar Ray. He pulled a good one out of there. North 10 Conference. He's moving up. Rodgers. I know about Aaron Rodgers. The walnuts over the peanuts. Jalen Hurts, great team player right there. The tarantula, and then of course the go-to, the popcorn. So we're ready, and now we're a good one, Coach. We appreciate you sharing up. And then Coach Fall says we're rolling off the questions over there. Yeah, slow, He said I'm slow. I thought he said I'm rolling him off good. He said I'm slow. So we might have to give you 2, Coach. You might have
Coach
4.
Foss. I like you, Coach Foss.
On
Appreciate
that
you,
one.
Coach.
There you go. So we are on to our last segment, you guys, and we definitely appreciate Coach bringing his time because he's got things to do. He's a head coach. He's running the ship. But our audience Q&A, and if anybody has anything in the comments section, please feel free to pop it in there for Coach. If you're watching a recording of this, you can email us, DM us. We'll get that question over to Coach. But Q, I think you had something good for Coach Rondeau tonight.
I did. Coach, me and Coach T talk about this all the time. You know, how would we function as a student athlete today? How do you keep these kids focused, man? I mean, with social media, all this going on, you name it, portal, how do you manage to keep these kids focused like you have me?
I don't know, right? I don't know. It is a battle and a journey, and they have so much more. And it used to be, well, here I go, old man, right there. It used to be that we were the event that you'd go to get away from everything else, and now there's a lot more competition in that space. And I think that thing that you keep going. Look at a 54-year-old man right here that's trying to relate to 18 to 22-year-old guys right there. But you got to keep working at meeting them where they're at.
Yeah.
And you know, if we end up having the first thing that we do is a 10-minute meeting, and that's not a meeting, you know, hey, make sure you do this project and that. Let's make it about current events, birthdays. Let's put youth photos up of kids when they're babies and have a contest about who could pick that baby picture. Let's find ways to get them engaged. Let's find ways to get their attention. Let's give a scout report that's related to the history of the rivalry between the two teams that are playing each other, and how do we create a story or a parable out of it? How do we make it to be, you know, we say, hey, football is fun and it's a lot of work and all that. Yep, but it's a grind, and we got to embrace the grind. But if we just make them do that work, it's the same thing, right? We want them all to bench 300 pounds, but if we do it on the first day, that's going to be troublesome. And how do we get them to build up their strength and their tolerance and their conditioning so that they can have fun with studying the game plan and spend an extra time to watch the video on the routes for the DBs? But you got to meet them where they're at. You know, we got to meet them where they're at. We got to think from their perspective. We got to get those young coaches to tell the old coach right here, hey, how do you think they see that? You know, and gain that perspective.
Wow, that's great feedback right there. And then I just thought about it. You're even evaluating your coaches to see how well they are probably with those things. So that's big right there, Coach.
Yes.
We've got actually a comment right here and a question in the chat. The Great Munoz family asks, question for Coach. Is Pace helping players with NIL opportunities? Obviously, this is a new era, Coach.
Yeah.
Is that something that's come down to your level?
We've got these little league things right here, and I get worried about the NIL opportunities that are on a small scale. We have people that approach us, and I think it ends up being really good for that business that's going to utilize the players, but what are the players actually getting out of it? You know, maybe there's a T-shirt company that says, hey, look at, we're going to print up T-shirts that have your name on it, and it's going to have your likeness on it, and we're going to be able to sell them to your family, and we're going to charge them $60 per item, and you don't know the quality of the item, and you don't know what it looks like, but they'll order it, and you'll end up getting $2 every time they sell a shirt. And I just end up saying, who's doing well here, right? And or you've got somebody who has a relationship that ends up being, hey, do you really want to have a relationship with that social media outlet? And you want that association to be how you're connected? Is that a savory? Is that do you want that connection? Do you want to be connected with that organization for years past that? Because they all want it. And there are little ways they can get little grabs. And hopefully you keep the discussion open and you know, will they have the topic with you? Maybe they find something on the side and it's a sweet deal right there. Hopefully they'll have the discussion with somebody else who can give them another perspective. And hey, past the few bucks that you get right there, Is that worth your squeeze, whether it be a reputation down the road or
Right.
whatever other way
Right.
that somebody tries to use athlete? And so we're on that end of it right there where it's, hey, I'd love to say that we've got people lined up that are going to take care of our players. In Division II, we're on the other side of the line of demarcation, right? In Division I, they've got a full scholarship. They've got the cost of attendance, and then you've got NLI on top of that. In Division II, when we have 36 scholarships for a full team, shoot, our guys are on the other end of that, where usually most of them are putting something in to play Division II football. They're paying something. So, you could argue that NIL would be more important, but it's a little bit harder for them to find a good deal. So that's a long-winded answer.
Yeah.
We're helping educate them. I don't think we're lining them up with things that they look and say, oh, yeah, that's all the difference in the world. We're still getting them summer jobs like back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the gap. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Can you before we let you go, can you talk about that, Coach, a little bit? The money. I mean, is it if I'm a kid that's going to probably play at the D2 level, am I expecting a scholarship, or should I go heavy on my academics? What should I be thinking?
Well, I'm going to go back and dip into that. It's a numbers game again, right? So, and here's what I mean. Okay. There are only so many guys that are going to be tall enough to play tackle and end up being big enough to play that spot. So I have to invest. I choose to. I don't have to. I choose to invest more in the things that are hard to find. And yeah, Jackie Chen, right? And if it ends up being that maybe it's a cornerback who is long and strong and he can run and cover all the receivers and still play physical too, I can invest in that. And if I end up saying, if it ends up being, well, there's a large pool at some position, and maybe it's at safety, maybe it's at linebacker. Well, the market now drops because there's more availability of that.
Yeah.
And so it's a market like that. And, and I think, whatever, toot my horn, I'm not trying to. I think it's really important when you're going to ask family members to contribute to a place that you want them to come to, right? You want them to buy you. You literally want them to buy you. You better be really direct about what it's going to cost and what they're going to be able to get out of it. Tangible and real stuff, right? Not what might be. Here's what it is. And hopefully that's a way, that term when you got down the levels right there, oh, he's on a full scholarship. Okay. Does that mean you got to take out the loan to pay the rest? What does full scholarship mean?
Right.
Okay. Does that mean I'm getting cost of attendance? Okay. Does that mean, what does that mean? Let's clarify. Okay. Does that mean my books are paid for? Okay. Is that a meal plan that's going to be able to handle what it should? Right. So I think these are real questions that you want to get into when you say, hey, at any level, when I've been a Division I coach or Division II coach, you get into FBS and Group of Five. I think it's different, but I think you really got to know what you're buying.
Great point right there, Coach. And yeah, we definitely want to know, because there is a difference for those that don't know, as far as what you get. I see, it would be great to see D2 offers in-state tuition for athletes that have to pay.
That's how well, we're a private school, so everybody gets the same rate. But at the same time, we're seeing more and more of that, where schools in Pennsylvania are crossing the borders and they're going to be able to recruit a kid in New Jersey or New York and have the in-state rate, and where they have tuition exchange, and we're
help
seeing
them out a little more.
We're seeing more of that because the state schools, they, bigger picture. Okay, what drives the smaller levels? Is it going to be gate? No, it's going to be tuition revenue. And, so they're trying to figure out, these colleges are all trying to make money. They're all trying to make money. That's what it is. Ours is driven by tuition. And, maybe when we were at other spots, it was driven by, okay, here's what the football team will generate for income based on games and other events.
Fabulous. Well, Coach, we definitely appreciate your time. I know you're on the East Coast, so it's a little later where you're at. If there's a young athlete or maybe a parent of an athlete that's now interested in what you have to offer, what's the best way for them to reach out to you or the program?
I will respond to all of my emails eventually. Eventually, I'll get to all of them, and I'll reach back to everybody. And if I find that it is a real email rather than a processed one through an agency, I respond with a processed email to the processed emails I get. If I get a personal email, I'll respond with a personal email. And Twitter is another way, to get and reach me too.
Okay.
That's our language, right? That's our language of communication. Yeah. That's the universal phone book. You can find anybody on Twitter, right?
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
You're open to high school, junior college. You're open.
Yep. Okay. We'll have real conversations about where people are and why. And what I'll say to 95 out of 100 is I'll ask them to get to campus before I'll entertain recruiting seriously. Recruit a California kid. Well, you're going to have to get back and forth to school. You need to look and see what you would buy. And if somebody's willing to do that, I will get all in. And I'll give them real feedback about what are the likelihood. Here's what we're recruiting this year. Because like we started at the top right there, there's only so much time and money that a family has. And if we can keep it on the up and up, it's better for everybody.
Yeah,
for everybody. There you go.
That's
and that's why we love Coach Rondeau. You guys got it right there from a great head coach. Not too many head coaches are coming in and giving you their time and their real knowledge and advice like this, you guys. So we really appreciate your time, Coach, and you guys have a great season.
Coach, can I say one thing? That of course. You brought me on years ago, and you have grown this thing up right now. We've got 3 screens. We've got questions at the bottom. We've got media coming across all the time. We got
we got to turn it around.
I think we were talking on the phone. This thing is for real.
Yeah, man. We're gonna be on your campus next.
Right.
To do a live show. Let's go in person. Let's
see. I told you.
There you go. Barstool or somebody get us to Pace University. All right, Coach. We love you. Thank you.
All right, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, you guys. So, hey, man, that is one of the greats right there, Coach Rondeau. He's doing big things, Q. I mean, he just got a kid to the Minnesota Vikings. This school is like almost $60,000 a year, so it's not cheap. You're going to be sitting next to somebody in class that's going to be probably in the stock market or something.
Right.
So it's a great school, man. And Coach Rondeau, dude, he holds it down. He recruits California kids from Texas all over. He just wants the ballers,
Hey, and that's why he's turned the program around, man. Like he said, it has to be a good fit for both parties. But that's how you turn a program around. And then that's how you not only have a good program, but, for a season or two, but be able to maintain that over a long period of time.
No, that's a great point right there, man. And definitely happy to have him on tonight. Game day, baby. Yes, Munoz family. And that might be one to keep an eye on, for young Marco. So we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Once again, I am your host, Coach Terrence Wood. That is Q, the guru. And once again, you guys, we want to bring people right in the industry straight into your living room. You guys ask them what you want to hear so you can get where you want to go. So that's it for tonight. We will see you next week, definitely in the locker room. Have a good one.